Okay, looks like I've made it. All right. Episode two of Mr. SoundOff here. And obviously still going through some of the kinks, some working out some of the bugs here so far, learning some of the things still about my different equipment that I have, trying out some different equipment that I've been using or been getting recently and trying to set up, trying to get ready to uh, used properly and not have these kind of issues. And some of these things also is getting used to kind of doing some of the live streaming itself on the channel. So thank you guys for coming out. This is episode two. All right. Hope you guys enjoy the first one. All right. The pilot, the test episode. I guess you can call this the pilot two or test episode two or just episode two. I don't know if I'll end up switching it from pilot episodes to just regular episodes or just keep going at that point. I think probably just keep going. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out for the second one. Again, hope you guys enjoyed the first one. Thank you guys for for the likes, for the subscribes, the comments, the feedback that I've gotten. Really do appreciate that. Hope you guys can keep coming back, keep letting other people know about the videos as they're coming out. Again, fan interaction is going to be big for the channel, big for myself. It's going to be, I hope, a lot of fun, not just for myself, but for all of you guys out there. As we fill up the chats more, you guys can interact with each other more. You guys can definitely, I hope to interact with every single one of you, obviously as much as I can, and we'll keep this thing going, right? And we'll have some fun along the way. I know I'm going to. So it's going to be a fun thing for myself, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it too. Um, Last week we touched on some of the free agency things that are going on in the NFL. Now, last week when I brought this up, the season had not even started yet. Sorry, the actual NFL free agent season, I should say, hadn't even started yet, right? So it was really kind of like these are some of the things that I see that could be possibly coming down the pipeline here this next week. And technically, where we're at today, all right, I don't know if you guys have been seeing what's going on today, but it's pretty cool because actually the first day of the new NFL season officially is not until tomorrow. That's Wednesday, the 13th, right? So that means that all the moves that have actually been made the last 2 days has been basically 2 days since free agency started, and what a 2 days we've had. Those 2 days, all those signings that you've been seeing is actually not official quite yet. Right? I don't really say that. Don't really think that anything's going to stand in the way of most of the things that you've seen or heard as far as these moves that are being made. But I'm just saying that most of the moves that you've seen, being made so far are coming out from either like you know insiders, reporters, things like that. People that are on the inside, Adam Schefter's, those kind of people, right? Those kind of reporters for ESPN's and Fox Sports, those kind of things there that are in with some of these teams, or maybe some of the actual local team reporters that know exactly what's going on, or maybe it's even coming out from agents or players themselves that are saying some of these things, but they're not actually coming out from the teams themselves, right? The official first date that these players can actually be signed is tomorrow. So, you know, I think tomorrow is going to be a pretty busy day where you're actually going to see the official signings actually happening, and then new signings, right? So players that haven't been signed, players that you haven't seen anything about yet in these first 2 days. There's, of course, is going to be essentially the third day of free agency and the first day of the official free agency and the first day of the official new NFL league season, right? Which is also why, since tomorrow is the first day of the NFL, the first official day of the next NFL season, all the teams had to essentially trade or release players by today in order to have them off their books so they wouldn't be there on their salary cap for next season starting tomorrow, right? So you saw a lot more pieces falling today with players getting released just today. And I'm trying to think of if there was any players that were released and supposed to be signed. Oh, I mean, I guess what's crazy is, yeah. So Aaron Jones on the Green Bay Packers, as an example, was released yesterday, right, and signed today. Okay. And again, the official thing will be tomorrow as far as when he's being signed. But it's just crazy as far as there has been an example of a player who was released and signed all within basically a 24-hour period, right in there. So more of the stuff is going to be happening tomorrow. We're going to be seeing some more of these players that were released today that are available, and now more teams are going to be going in on these players tomorrow. But I want to start off with the main thing about this free agency is the winners for today, right? The winners from free agency, and this is a couple different things. This is going over some players as well as some teams, right? I think obviously anytime somebody gets $180 million for well for anything, I don't care if it's for 100 years of your life. If you're making $180 million, that's fantastic. But making $180 million for playing the sport that you love for 4 years. That's pretty darn fantastic. And Kirk Cousins just did that today, right? So Kirk Cousins, new contract, 4 years, $180 million to join the Atlanta Falcons, right? And that makes Kirk Cousins and really the Atlanta Falcons, I think they're the biggest winners of the day. Um, Although I don't think Kirk Cousins is your Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers and some of these players that have been out there for years, like the top tier players, the Tom Brady's, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, uh, I maybe Josh Allen being in there as well. So as far as these top tier kind of players, those kind of things there, he's right below that. Um, and so the Falcons just got essentially a quarterback that's maybe 8th to 15th best quarterback in the NFL. Uh, Going into next season, yeah, he's a little bit older. He's 36 now, and he is coming off the injury. So they're risking a lot. But what did they really have to lose? I mean, what quarterback did they have on that team? Right, that roster is actually a pretty loaded roster with no real help, no insight coming for the quarterback position unless they actually went out and signed somebody, right? They did a pretty good job last season. I think they missed out on the playoffs by a game, if I remember right. From the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game, maybe 2 games. They were in it till pretty close to the end there, and so they're drafting a ways down. They're not going to get one of those top tier quarterbacks. Even if they did get one of those top tier rookie quarterbacks, it would be. I mean, we're talking about like where they would be at. They'd probably get like the fourth or fifth best rookie quarterback, and then to think you're gonna plug and play him week one and have him take over your team and win a whole bunch of games, um, you know, or he comes in week 4 or week 8 or something like that. He turns the season around and takes you to the playoffs. That's not super realistic, right? So getting Kirk Cousins and all of a sudden for 4 years, great pickup for the Atlanta Falcons. There's also a lot of talk as far as the scheme that he's coming into is underneath the offensive coordinator, basically coming from the Sean McVay tree, and the Minnesota Vikings head coach came from that same tree. So essentially, he comes from the same scheme that he's already been under for the last couple of years from the Vikings, right over to the Atlanta Falcons, and they now have three uh, you know, top skilled offensive skill position players, along with I believe it's 4 different first round picks on the offensive line around there. So, they've never really gotten a lot of credit for the offensive line, but they've been pretty young, right? But they have a lot of you know possibilities, I guess, a lot of hope for what their offensive line could be. And then those 3 skill position players, as far as wide receiver, tight end, and running back, that can compete with anybody, any team, as far as those 3 positions goes, is pretty good for Kirk Cousins. And that defense has been coming along as well. Also a little bit young. I think that's where they'll maybe struggle a little bit is on that defensive side. We'll have to see exactly how that offensive line does hold up, and of course, Kurt coming back from the injury, how he'll hold up. But I think that's the biggest winner of the day is Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons. Besides that, I mean, I haven't really exactly ranked these. These are just kind of you know, the big winners that I've seen would be the Steelers, right? I touched on this last week in the podcast that Russell Wilson. I was saying I was saying how crazy of a notion could it be? How great of a move would it be for the Bears to actually go out and sign Russell Wilson for $1.2 million is what his going rate was because he was getting paid by the Denver Broncos. But that was a pie in the sky. That was a pretty out there thought. The overwhelming consensus is everyone thought that he was going to go to the Steelers, then he ended up going to the Steelers. So the Steelers needed a quarterback as well. Steelers were almost in the same position as the Atlanta Falcons, and they just picked up Russell Wilson, right? Who had a better season last year than he did 2 years ago. But I really don't think that Russell Wilson is that far off from being a high caliber, really good quarterback. I don't think people enough these quarterbacks or enough these players credit as well for playing through pain. And Russell Wilson, a lot of people forget that he broke his finger on his throwing hand his last season on the Seattle Seahawks. So he was basically playing through that. It's kind of like Aaron Rodgers also had that as well. And you saw both those quarterbacks have down years. So the Seattle Seahawks see that, and they're like, "Okay, I guess you're getting up there in age," which is, I think, at that time, Russell was like 31, 32 that last year in Seattle, and said, "Okay, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get rid of you." I mean, he the year before that he was in the running for NFL MVP, right? So in the running for NFL MVP, then he breaks his finger, has an off year, then he has a pretty decent year, and then he goes to the Denver Broncos. Massive situation there. Has a little bit better of a year, even with Sean Payton, who basically couldn't stand him and was trying to get rid of him from the moment he was there. I think that the Steelers for $1.2 million, just they maybe got the steal of the NFL, right? I mean, do you think that for the numbers, when you think that Kirk Cousins and some of these guys, let's see, so Kirk Cousins 180 over 4, so I know it's backloaded and those kind of things there, but essentially $45 million a year, right? Um, do you think that Kirk Cousins is going to put out a 45 time 44 times better season than Russell Wilson is going to? So, I mean, do you think Russell Wilson is going to throw, uh, you know, one touchdown and Kirk Cousins is going to throw 35 to, we'll say 35 touchdowns, right? So, is Kirk Cousins worth one and a half, two times more than what Russell Wilson was? Well, again, Russell Wilson just went for 1.2. No quarterback is going for $5 million. I mean, unless you're Sam Darnold going to the Minnesota Vikings for 10, still not five, but we'll have to see exactly how that pans out for the Vikings itself there. But the Pittsburgh Steelers getting Russell Wilson, and then the second part of that is them also getting Patrick McQueen, which is a guy that I put on my mock draft for my Green Bay Packers that I wanted them to select years ago in that NFL draft. And so I've always had an eye out for Patrick McQueen and seeing his career, just blossom into being a great linebacker. And I was super hopeful again that the Packers might be able to actually pick him up now as a free agent, especially with releasing Devondre Campbell. I thought it'd be perfect, right? And what was it? Patrick Queen, and then the year after that, then the Packers got Quay Walker, and I thought those two together would just dominate in the middle of the field there for the Packers for years to come here. So that was unfortunate that the Packers were not able to get him, but great for the Steelers. Patrick Queen goes to the Steelers. I mean, an organization that is known for the defense that is just cranks it out year after year. And so the Steelers are going to be a whole lot better next year. The Steelers are going to be a whole lot better next year. So watch out for them. Another good team here making good moves today. The Las Vegas Raiders. That's right, Raider Nation. You guys got Christian Wilkins. You guys got essentially the best interior pass rusher in NFL with Christian Wilkins. You had to pay some money for him, 4 years, 110, but that's what those guys go for because not a whole lot of them, right? And so pairing him up with Max Crosby is going to be big for you guys. And anytime you can get that interior pressure in your face as quickly as possible on a quarterback, and you got some quarterbacks in your division with Mahomes and Herbert, you guys need it. The one thing I would say is it doesn't look like you guys are maybe going that far in on offense. So, this flashy Raiders team that's organization, I should say, that I always feel like has the high flying speedster wide receiver, the bruising running back and a quarterback with all kinds of arm to him. It's feeling a little bit different right now, right? That being said, they did also pick up Gardner Minshew. So I'm actually a fan of Gardner Minshew. I think that he's an underrated player. And talk about the money on that. 2 years for $25 million for Gardner Minshew. So where I was talking about, what kind of quarterbacks can you get for $5 or $10 million? I mean, so you break that down, essentially 12 and a half, 12 and a half each year for Gardner Minshew. Even if you end up drafting another quarterback or bringing in another quarterback, and Gardner Minshew ends up being your backup quarterback, there's a lot of backup quarterbacks that are going for this kind of range, right? In this 8 to $15 million range as far as a backup quarterback goes. So if Gardner Minshew ends up being that this year, if you do draft somebody, or ends up falling to that like next year, that's a great pickup. And if Gardner Minshew plays anywhere near what he does when he's had his opportunities, and he plays at his best, granted he does have to play at his best to get there, but if he plays at his best for that, and you paid him 12 and a half, and he gets you 25 to 30 touchdowns, and let's say he throws for 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, right? And another like 2 rushing. I think you as the Raiders have to be happy about that, have to be feeling good about that. And you also have to be thinking, well, this is why we spent our money on defense, right? We didn't really fully go out and spend a ton of money on offense. We kind of expect this. We spent our money on defense instead. So good days for the Oakland Raiders, or sorry, it'll always be the Oakland Raiders to me. But the Las Vegas Raiders. For my Green Bay Packers, also a great day here. Great. I mean, it was really all on the first day. Um, but getting Josh Jacobs and Xavier McGinney. So they got essentially, well, I would say one of the top three, if not the first or second best running back out there. And if you think about where Josh Jacobs could be at in 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road, Josh Jacobs, out of those running backs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, some of those guys that were available, DeAndre Swift, those kind of things, he could absolutely stand above the rest as being the best running back that was available out there, right? For this free agency period. They did have to spend more. He did get more than the rest of these guys out there. But again, he's also 26, so he's younger than most of these other guys. And he comes off a down year, obviously, with the Raiders, but they were going through their stuff there in Las Vegas, didn't really have any offense at all to speak of. The year before that, he was essentially the best running back in all football, right? So hopefully the Packers picked up the best running back in football for about $12 million a year at 26, right? The Packers would have been my number one team, essentially, the team that I felt like probably had the best free agency day if they did not have to give up, unfortunately, Aaron Jones, right? So that was a huge move. I mean, what a devastating day for Packers fans, Packer Nation, having to release Aaron Jones, and then a day later, then he goes to the Minnesota Vikings, just makes it that much worse. There was, I joked with a buddy of mine. There was about a 5 minute window there where they signed Josh Jacobs, and Packer Nation, started talking like, "Hey, look at this two-headed monster that we have. What if it's Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones?" Right? And I said last week, I brought up Aaron Jones, and I said the Packers are probably going to try to, renegotiate that deal. All right, work on that deal. And reports are coming out that they had been trying to do that for weeks or for months with Aaron Jones, and it finally broke down about a week or two ago. And it looks like that's essentially why, when they weren't coming close to a deal between the Packers and Aaron Jones, that they decided, like, okay, we're going to go ahead and go out there and get a running back, and we're going to have to release Aaron Jones. So again, if they were able to keep both of them, that would have been just tremendous for the Packers. But still, picking up Josh Jacobs, that's 3 years younger than Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has had injury issues really every year for the last few years now. I mean, last year, I know he had a fantastic end of the season. I think it was 5 games in a row running for over 100 yards each game. But I mean, he missed, how many games, or was limited at least in some of those games. I would say 8 to 12 of the games of the season. He either missed or was limited or came out during the game itself, right? So, um, I think that played a big part. That's why I was saying that I thought that the Packers were going to ask him to take a pay cut, essentially, on that salary itself, and I guess why it didn't end up happening, right? But besides picking up Josh Jacobs for the Packers, they also got the best safety out there, Xavier McGinney. Giants messed up on this one, letting this guy go. 24 years old. I think he's going to be 25 when the next NFL season starts up. Just came off of a Pro Bowl year. Uh, all Pro Bowl year for the Giants. Has been rated the number one safety by PFF in the NFL at the safety position since he came into the league. Right, so you're picking up a guy maybe not even in his prime yet, right? For a decent contract for 4 years, and our biggest need that we had as the Green Bay Packers being at safety, you just filled it with the best guy, and you didn't have to fully extend. You didn't have to totally overpay for him. There's still safeties that are making more money than Xavier McGinney, and you just got him for 4 years for this. So again, where you'd end up seeing this contract being ranked in 3 or 4 years, I mean, this is a home run for the Green Bay Packers. So excellent job for us on that side there. Some other winners, I thought the Eagles made a lot of moves. They got a lot of guys as well there, and also the Vikings. Without spending too much more time here on this subject itself, the Vikings, besides losing out on Kirk Cousins, they got some good play. They got a whole bunch of players on their defensive side of the ball, and then they were able to pick up Aaron Jones. Right? They also got Sam Darnold as well, and you got him. I think it was $10 million a year for Sam Darnold. So, uh, we'll have to see exactly again how he plays out. But Sam Darnold is going to have some weapons. That's for sure. He's going to have he's going to have T.J. Hodgkinson at tight end. He's going to have Addison and um, Justin Jefferson, obviously. Justin Jefferson and wide receiver. And now they throw Aaron Jones out there. If Aaron Jones again is actually healthy for you guys, you that's a squad right there to go behind. So Vikings also with a good haul in that first day or two of free agency. So that there goes over my first segment of the day here.